We turn now to the legal battle over spilled tea at Starbucks and a judgment worth millions.
Starbucks isn't just selling you coffee. No. Starbucks is selling you a fantasy in a paper cup. Think about it. The warm, golden lighting that makes you look 10 years younger on Instagram. The carefully curated indie playlist that makes you feel like the main character in a Netflix drama. The barista is writing your name. And let's be honest, usually mangling it like there's some mystical scribe turning your $7 latte into a sacred ritual. But let's drop the filter for a second. This is not a cozy little coffee shop. This is a psychology lab with a cash register. And guess what? You're the experiment. That $6.95 latte you're holding? Strip away the mood lighting and the caramel drizzle, and you're left with about 65 cents worth of coffee beans, 30 cents of milk, and maybe 15 cents of syrup. That's it. The other $6? That's paying for rent, marketing campaigns, and a corporate bonus so big it could feed a small village. You're not buying coffee. You're buying the illusion that your caffeine habit is self-care, and it works because Starbucks knows exactly how to play your brain like a fiddle. Notice how it's $6.95 instead of $7 even? That's not an accident. That's marketing psychology 101. It's the same trick that makes people think a used car at $9,999 feels cheaper than $10,000. You know it's nonsense. They know it's nonsense. You know they know, and yet it still works. But let's dig into what's actually inside that cup. And spoiler alert, it is not pretty. That innocent-looking grande vanilla frappuccino? It packs about 68 grams of sugar. That is more sugar than 2 full-size Snickers bars, or the equivalent of 16 sugar cubes getting dumped straight into your system. And the American Heart Association recommends no more than about 25 grams a day for women and 36 for men. One frappuccino doesn't just cross the line. It erases the line, stomps on it, and drives away laughing. Starbucks pulled off one of the slickest rebrands in modern history. They convinced the world that a milkshake with a whisper of espresso counts as coffee. Really think about it. Most of their coffee drinks are one sad shot of espresso drowned in milk, syrup, whipped cream, and caramel drizzle. It's not coffee. It's a dessert wearing a coffee costume. And that's where the trap snaps shut. You think you're getting an energy boost, but here's what usually happens. Sugar spike, sugar crash, brain fog. And plenty of people report feeling more drained a few hours later than they did before they even walked through the door. Starbucks is selling you exhaustion wrapped in whipped cream. But of course, it tastes good. That's the whole point. They engineered it to taste like heaven while quietly wrecking your energy, your wallet, and surprise, even the planet. Because let's talk about the cup, that iconic white paper cup with the green mermaid. The one you've posted 100 times. It feels recyclable. It looks recyclable. It practically begs you to believe it's recyclable. But guess what? It's not. Over 4 billion of those cups get tossed every year. Enough to wrap around the planet over and over. And why? Because those cups are lined with plastic to stop leaks, which makes them extremely hard to recycle. Less than 1% ever actually gets recycled. Starbucks knows this, of course, but instead of fixing the problem, they toss you a little bone. Bring your own cup and save 10 cents. 10 cents on a $7 drink. That's not eco-consciousness. That's corporate lint disguised as a discount. And the kicker? Only about 1.6% of customers actually bring their own cup. Everyone else is pumping billions of cups into landfills, while Starbucks pats itself on the back for green progress. So the next time you see that glossy sign that says, "We aim to reduce waste by 30% by 2030, remember this. Cup production keeps climbing year after year. That's not progress. That's corporate theater. A sustainability performance designed to make you feel good while nothing meaningful changes. This is what Starbucks does best. They sell you sugar and caffeine as a lifestyle. They sell you plastic trash as eco-friendly. They sell you indulgence as a necessity. It's not just coffee. It's one of the slickest cons in the consumer world, and it is working. And before we go further, if you like these no-fluff breakdowns that save your wallet from getting played, take a second and subscribe to Frugal Finds for You. Because we do this kind of deep dive all the time, and the next one is even wilder. Now let's talk about loyalty. Because at Starbucks, loyalty doesn't mean what you think it means. You probably imagine it's about getting rewarded for being a good customer. You buy drinks, you earn stars, You cash in a free latte. Fair trade, right? Wrong. What Starbucks built isn't a reward system. It's a casino in your pocket, complete with flashing lights and dopamine hits. Except instead of pulling a slot machine lever, you're ordering espresso shots. Here's how it really works. Back in the day, 12 purchases got you a free drink. Simple, clean, transparent. That's gone. Now you need 25 stars just for a plain coffee, and up to 200 for the more elaborate drinks. And how do you earn stars, one or two at a time? Unless, of course, you play the bonus games in the app. You know the ones. Visit 5 times this week for 70 extra stars. Translation: spend $35 to earn a couple of bucks worth of perks. It's a scam wrapped in confetti. But here's the evil genius. Because it's not cash, it doesn't feel like spending. It feels like progress. Every tap of the app, every push notification, every "you're so close to your next reward" is a psychological hook. You're not earning free drinks, you're chasing digital dopamine. That's how casinos keep people glued to slot machines. The lights, the sounds, the promise that you're almost there. Starbucks stole the playbook, swapped the cherries for caramel drizzle, and now they've got millions of people hooked on a game they can never truly win. And it's working. Rewards members spend way more than non-members. They show up more often. They upgrade sizes more frequently. Not because they plan to, but because the app nudged them like a little digital shoulder tap. Starbucks doesn't reward loyalty. Starbucks manufactures it. Now let's talk about wait times. Remember when the drive-thru was the fastest way to grab coffee? Those days are dead. Back around 2010, the average wait was about 4 minutes. By 2023, it was over 8 minutes. Double the time, same overpriced latte. So what happened? Mobile. Ordering was supposed to fix it, right? Wrong. Mobile orders turned Starbucks into a 3-ring circus. Walk-ins, drive-thru, and now an avalanche of app orders is crashing in at the same time. Some locations get over 100 mobile orders during the morning rush alone. That's on top of the line of people and the line of cars. And here's the kicker. It's not always first come, first served. If you've been standing in line for 5 minutes and someone places a mobile order from their car in the parking lot, their drink might get made before yours. It's called order prioritization, and it's designed to reward engagement with the app, not patience. Baristas call it the rush hour bottleneck. 3 queues, 2 blenders, 1 espresso machine, 0 sanity. And who suffers? You. The customer who's now late for work, holding a lukewarm latte, you didn't even want that badly. But here's the cold truth. Starbucks doesn't panic about the wait because they know something. You don't. It's called the commitment threshold. Research shows that once people have already waited a few minutes, most of them will stay, even if the line gets worse. In other words, once you're in it, you're trapped. So Starbucks has less incentive to speed things up. Because your frustration doesn't cost them money, it locks you in. And while you're standing there, you're getting blasted with seasonal hype. Enter Starbucks' nuclear weapon, the pumpkin spice latte. Introduced in 2003, the PSL now pulls in over $500 million a year. But here's the fun fact nobody loves to mention. Until 2015, it didn't even contain pumpkin. It was sugar, spices, and marketing pixie dust. And still, people lined up like it was a pilgrimage. Why? 2 words. Artificial scarcity. Starbucks limits the PSL season to a small window, and that time limit triggers panic buying. The same logic that makes people hoard stuff in a crisis is the same logic that makes people chase a seasonal drink like it's going extinct. It's not coffee. It's not even really about flavor. It's a seasonal identity crisis in a paper cup. Blind taste tests have shown people rate the same drink higher when it's served in a Starbucks cup. That's branding sorcery. You're not buying a beverage. You're buying a story, a vibe, a lifestyle. And Starbucks knows it. So now you've paid your $7, earned a couple of useless stars, waited twice as long as you used to, and walked out with dessert disguised as coffee. And you still feel like you treated yourself. But Starbucks just pulled another quarter out of your pocket while convincing you it was your idea. Now let's pull the curtain back and look behind the counter. Because the people making your caramel drizzle, half foam, oat milk, pumpkin spice masterpiece aren't living the dream. They're living the grind. The average Starbucks barista makes around $13 an hour. That's roughly 27 grand a year if they're lucky enough to get consistent full-time hours, which many don't. Meanwhile, a single store can generate $700,000 or more per year. The company itself pulls in billions in annual profit. But the person pulling shots to fuel that profit, a lot of them can barely afford the same drinks they're serving. And here's the kicker. To qualify for benefits, you need to work at least 20 hours a week. So what do some stores do? They schedule workers at 19 and a half hours. Not a coincidence. Just a corporate spreadsheet move dressed up as scheduling needs. It's like dangling health insurance just out of reach, week after week until you're too tired to fight back. Add in chaotic shift changes with barely any notice, unpredictable schedules, and entitled customers who act like no whip is a legally binding contract. And you've got a burnout factory running at full speed. Turnover at some locations hits 100% a year. That means the entire staff quits and gets replaced every single year. Imagine walking into your local store and realizing every familiar face is gone. That's not just bad for morale. It's bad for your latte, too, because it takes time to train new employees. And Starbucks isn't handing out barista PhDs. Some workers have been working for months, some last weeks. Some don't even make it through their first shift before walking out. And these are the people expected to juggle walk-ins, drive-through chaos, and a mountain of mobile orders stacked on top. Sometimes cranking out drink after drink during rush hour at a pace that would make a factory supervisor proud. That's not a coffee shop. That's an assembly line with a Spotify playlist. And let's talk about the names on your cups. Ever wonder why your Jessica became Jessica, or why your Michael turned into McCall, like you just got baptized into a new spelling? It's not always an accident. Rumors and even some leaked notes over the years suggest baristas have been encouraged to get creative with names. Why? Because when you post that cup online to laugh at the spelling, Starbucks just got free advertising. Think about it. You buy a $7 drink. They accidentally butcher your name. You take a photo, upload it, and tag Starbucks. Now your friends want one too. That's not bad service, that's weaponized misspelling. Now brace yourself for one of the grossest Starbucks secrets. Until 2012, Starbucks used cochineal extract, a bright red dye made from crushed insects, in certain drinks like strawberry-style frappuccinos. Yes, actual bugs. People found out they'd been sipping insect dye with whipped cream on top. The backlash was so loud that Starbucks rushed to replace it with a different coloring. But here's the lesson. They didn't stop because it was gross. They stopped because they got caught. So how many other surprises are still slipping under the radar? And speaking of healthy options, let's shatter that illusion too. Almond milk? Often mostly water, sweeteners, and additives, with only a tiny percentage of actual almonds. Oat milk costs less to produce than dairy, but Starbucks charges you an extra surcharge anyway. That upcharge brings in an insane amount of money. Healthy? Maybe. Profitable? Absolutely. Even some of those plant-based breakfast sandwiches, the ones marketed as better for you, can be barely different in calories from the regular version, while packing in a longer list of hard-to-pronounce ingredients. That's not healthy food. That's PR wrapped in vegan buzzwords. Oh, and decaf? Don't get too comfortable. A grande decaf coffee can still have up to around 30 milligrams of caffeine. Drink 2 or 3 and you're still getting a noticeable dose. That crash you thought you were dodging? Still coming. Starbucks engineers. Starbucks. It that way. And their dark roast can hit harder than people assume. The cycle stays the same. Buzz, crash, repeat. Now let's do the math. A $7 Starbucks drink, 5 times a week is $35. That's about $1,820 a year. Not rent, not groceries, not a vacation. Not even truly great coffee. Just liquid sugar and branding in a cup that's going to end up in a landfill. And we're back to those cups again. That iconic white Starbucks cup looks recyclable, feels recyclable, acts recyclable. Spoiler. It's not. It's lined with plastic, which makes it extremely difficult to recycle. Less than 1% actually gets recycled. The rest goes straight to landfills, and Starbucks knows it. So they offer you that 10-cent discount if you bring your own reusable cup. 10 cents on a $7 drink. That's like tipping your waiter with lint and calling it generosity. So while you sip your overpriced latte, Starbucks is stacking billions. Workers are burning out, customers are waiting longer, and the planet is choking on plastic-lined cups that will outlive all of us. But hey, your name is on the cup, sort of. At the end of the day, Starbucks isn't selling you coffee. They're selling you an illusion. A $7 cup that costs pennies to make. A loyalty game rigged to drain your wallet. And a feel-good brand built on burned-out workers and mountains of trash cups. You're not buying quality, you're buying marketing. So before you hop in line for your next latte, ask yourself one honest question. Am I paying for coffee? Or am I paying for a story I've been sold? And if you want more breakdowns like this, where we expose the truth behind the everyday stuff draining your budget, subscribe to Frugal Finds for You right now. We don't do fluff, we do receipts. If this video opened your eyes, hit that like button, drop your never again Starbucks order in the comments, and subscribe to Frugal Finds for You so you don't miss the next one. Stay sharp, spend smart.